I'm Coulter Wonkite. I'm already into the 420, damn it.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. My name is Al Graham, and we are coming to you live right here at lifestyleradio.ca as well as .net. And as always, I am live here at Cannabis in downtown Camelford, sitting in the front window watching the traffic go by. Tonight, my joint host is Kim Cooper, and we've had a bit of a bump with our guests, but that's, we'll talk a little bit more about our guests here shortly. But I'm going to talk news with Kim and what's going on with our guests for tonight. So, Kim?
Yes, my dear, my dear. Hello, everybody in Radio Land. Welcome to the show tonight. Yeah, a little bit of a bump in the road, but we're here with you live with very interesting guests for you tonight in replacement.
Yeah, yes. Let's go with our news here first. And then we'll talk about Heidi and Dozer. Okay, I see here that Ottawa is going around and trying to convince the provinces to keep their tax on their cannabis at a very low level.
Yeah, provinces are jumping through hoops right now and petitioning the government on all kinds of levels. Regarding taxes, as well as ways of dispensing the medication or non-medication recreational use product throughout the system. They're crying for more money. They're asking for higher taxes to pay for the things that they foresee being problematic with the new system. I don't know. I mean, if you have high taxes, it's not going to eliminate the black market.
Oh, no, that's for sure. Like, you got to think if right now, people use an easy number of $10 a gram, and you start throwing federal, provincial, municipal taxes on it. It's already like gasoline. There's a pile of different taxes on that. It's going to be very hard for them to keep the price of recreational cannabis low enough in order to have any effect on the black market.
Oh, that's exactly it. I mean, even at the base price of $10 a gram, as soon as you tax that, now it's beyond reach. Most provinces right now are paying upwards of 15% in tax. And that's, incorporating GST along with your PST. Most provinces are sitting around 15%. That's too much money on $10 a gram to pay full price of taxes on that. I mean, on $100 now, you're up to $115, $120 for your purchase.
Yeah,
people aren't going to pay it.
No, they'll keep going to where they've been going.
That's right. If I go to my dispensary or I go to my guy down the road, he don't charge me tax. So why would I go somewhere that does?
Yeah, I see at this meeting they didn't determine a price for the cannabis. It's almost as if I know I read one earlier report that said the cannabis would be different prices in different provinces, but there is a push here a little bit to see whether they would like a same price across the board or across the country. Okay, but I don't know what they'll do in the end. I just know that there's a lot of discussion on it, and I don't know. I don't know. The black market can keep undercutting them. Okay, it looks like Oh, Kim, are you there?
I'm back, and I don't know what happened there. I've got two windows open now. My system froze, and I disappeared.
And
It's
we
gone
got
again.
we got some dead air. Have you left me again, Kim?
No, it keeps clicking off. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's my system
Okay,
or
well,
what. Maybe I should do a reboot.
Yeah, this one's working. Well, if you need a reboot, maybe we'll do that at break time.
Sure. If I disappear again on you, I apologize. The wonders of technology, right?
That's right. Yeah, hey, that happens, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
So when I got out there, we were on taxes.
We were on taxes, exactly. And the taxes. I don't know. I really don't know. They say that they want to keep the taxes low in order to eliminate the black market. But wow, they're really going to have to keep them super low. And
well, it has to start with low cannabis prices to start with. Their base price has to be lower than what you can get elsewhere in order to allow for the taxes to not overrun the market.
Right. Yep. Because it'll be interesting.
Yeah, we're having a rough one tonight, are we, Al?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, my computer's not keeping up with the clicks either. Okay.
Some days the show goes so smoothly, and other days it's the first day of summer.
Yes, yeah. That must be what it is. Okay, now here's something that I thought was in the news-wise that was interesting, and that was the Ontario Public Service Employees Union is offering $3,000 a year for patients that are using medical cannabis.
Yeah, I found that really, really interesting. I think it's a fantastic initiative. I wish more companies would jump on board with this. And it's the start of getting your medical cannabis covered by insurance. Wonderful initiative. Loblaws Corporation has already done it, and they're allowing for it as well in their plans. My big question now, I think, lies with these same companies that do random drug testing. You're allowing for your employees to purchase their medication on your insurance plan, but if they test positive for cannabis, they're going to lose their job. Well, you paid for it.
Yeah. I think they have to obviously have some type of clause in there to allow them, to use their medication. You would hope. I hate to see someone lose a job that because of something that they were paid. It was paid for legally by the insurance company that covers them at work.
Well, exactly. It's kind of like a catch-22 there, because I know some OPSU companies do random drug testing, and cannabis is on that list for non-acceptable products to be in your system. So how can they then in turn do any repercussions against the employee if they've paid for the drug?
Yeah. And like, they say here that there's 400 employees and their spouses. So that's a lot of people who could be affected by that.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic initiative. I hope more companies and more organizations continue to see this wave and climb on board that surfboard and just ride that wave. It needs to happen across the country.
Yes, it does. And you know what I like about this one over the other one you mentioned there, the Loblaws situation, Shoppers Drug Mart. Theirs is limited to, I believe, MS and cancer patients, whereas this has no limit on what the condition is, as long as they're prescribed by their doctor.
Yeah, and that is so encouraging. And I mean, really, what is it? What right is it of the workplace to dictate which medication should be covered and which medication shouldn't? You're sick enough, you're not. If a doctor writes a prescription, it should be covered. The workplace should not be able to dictate what is covered and what isn't.
Yeah. Well, it would be nice if they didn't. But But unfortunately, my own situation, we were waiting for approval from a drug company or the insurance company on whether they would cover the drug that they're looking at putting me on.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation with a lot of the drugs, but for medical cannabis, there shouldn't be I can see almost, them saying, well, certain drugs we have to look at whether or not we're going to approve it. But if you're approving that whole drug is approved for everybody, then it shouldn't matter what condition it's treating.
Yeah, then some insurance companies require all the proper, well, the testing and all that's required for pharmaceutical drugs, and they won't accept cannabis as something that's been tested that way.
Yeah, well, none of the like big major companies like mining corporation or the forestry industry or any of those kinds of companies, none of them are even considering it. They're still holding the hard line. If you're caught using it, then you're going to be fired. Can't have a prescription for it and keep your job. It's still really, really problematic in a lot of areas.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to take some time to get everything straightened around as far as getting more people on board. But it is a start, and if OPSU has got it, then I'm sure there's going to be others along the line that are going to be requesting it too for their employees.
Absolutely. OPSU, I mean, they've got over 400 employees along with their family members. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Very encouraging.
Yeah. Okay, now on to our guest situation for tonight. Looks like I just lost Kim. Yeah, looks like I've lost Kim and I'm here all by myself.
Oh no! You're back. You're not back. It's something in the air. I don't know what's going on, but something is in the air. Yeah. So our guest situation.
Yes, as we posted earlier, we had arranged for Heidi Chartman to appear on the program tonight. She's of Higher Wellness Services on the East Coast. We were going to talk to her about her business and everything, as well as her situation with Dozer, her dog.
Yes, a lot of people are following the Dozer saga, shall we say. Heidi's been treating Dozer and showing the progress of his treatment on his various social media outlets. And the treatments have been so effective; it's been miraculous.
I've been at first you couldn't share her stuff, so I was taking the pictures and posting them myself and putting the comments in there from her, and making sure people understood they were from her, and just so to get the word out, and the number of people who liked and loved clicked on the little faces and stuff like that on Facebook was huge. And people are, like you say, people are following it, and she's been posting some of those pictures. Some people may say that they're a little unsightly, but this is what you have to do in order to prove things work.
That's right. Medical conditions are unsightly. We're all here learning about how this plant can treat our medical conditions. People are asking for proof. This is proof. Proof positive. There's absolutely no question about it. My heart goes out to this dog. All of my heartfelt support is 100% behind Heidi and what she's doing and her organization, and not only with Dozer, but outside of Dozer. Like you said, the organization she deals with in the East Coast, she helps many, many people. Yeah. The saga with what's going on with Dozer is bringing a lot of that to light. And it's putting the touch on it. A sick dog, we can all empathize with that. Yeah, and to see this tumor shrink in such a way, it's got to make your heart burst.
Yeah, like she posted there in the beginning that he was having problems eating, drinking, The tumor that was growing in his mouth, you could see it was around his jaw, around his teeth on both sides, and it was quite large, and I'm sure quite uncomfortable for him.
Yeah.
And she started applying the cannabis oil after the vet had told her to take Dozer home and make him feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And he's going to pass here, shortly. And she loves Dozer so much that she wasn't going to do that. She refused some other medication that they had offered to help him make him comfortable, but not actually deal with the tumor, from my understanding.
Yeah.
And this tumor is exposed. It's not inside. It's basically outside of the body. You can really see the changes as she posts the pictures.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to speaking with Heidi tonight. I have an issue with my dog, as people probably know from the past. Lily has had some cancer surgery. She's had cancer issues, and we have a new tumor that looks very much like the one inside Dozer's mouth, and she's developed that on her hip. So I was looking forward to talking to Heidi tonight about that, but I will continue that conversation in private. And I completely understand why she was unable to be with us tonight. It's too early. She's going through it right now. She can't stop crying. This is her lifelong pet. She loves this dog, like we love our children. And it's a very, very extremely difficult situation for her. And she doesn't feel that she would be able to get the proper message across through her tears tonight. And she's going to come and join us, but she wants to be more prepared. She wants to get Dozer in a little bit of a better place, so she's in a better place, and then she will most definitely join us in the future and tell us her story.
Yeah, she will. But she says that people can get a hold of her on Facebook.
Yeah, she's very happy to speak with people on Facebook because she can type through her tears.
Yes.
It's much easier in that kind of a format when you're in such a sensitive situation. So if people need information, contact her on Facebook. Check out her Facebook group as well. I mean, she's reachable for sure, but for an in-person interview, she's just not in the right space right now for that.
Yeah, and she believes it's very important that the word gets out about the benefits, especially, just recently here in Ontario, they posted that the vets were against the use of cannabis.
Yeah, I read that and I thought, oh, my God, really, here we go now in the vet world. First we had to fight our doctors. Now we've got to fight the vets. I mean, are you kidding me? The proof is in the pudding. People are making animal tinctures and creams and cookies even, dog treats and everything with cannabis, and they're fighting leukemia, they're fighting tumors, all kinds of things, arthritis, pain, even, it's working wonders for thousands of dogs across the country.
No, many times I've been told how people give their dogs the stems just to chew on. Yeah.
I mean, I have my Lily. She's on a cannabis tincture every day. I don't think it was quite strong enough because it seems her cancer has returned. So I'm looking at alternate therapies and stepping that up and seeing what I can do there. But, as far as it being, not good for dogs and stuff like that, I think that largely it depends on the dog. There's a lot of dogs that aren't going to will freak out with a THC high effect. Of course, they're not going to like it because they don't know what's going on. It's going to scare them. A little bit traumatizing, all of that. Sure, 100%. But there's also weed hounds out there. I know this because I own one. I mean, I have my dog, Sunny, and I mean, I can't leave anything out or he's going to take it on purpose because he knows what it's going to do.
Yes. Sometimes it's not safe. That's for sure.
So as for it being traumatic for a dog, well, it largely depends on the dog, I think, same as it does in humans.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All of us can't, pound back a super high THC doobie all the time.
That's right. That's right. I mean, if you're not used to it, or you're relatively, low key or new, then you're not going to do a big dab that I do, because I've been smoking for 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I even found my first dabs. Those first 40 years didn't help.
Yeah, dabs are a different story, aren't they?
Yeah, sure are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a wonderful medication for humans and pets, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is. And it's just, it just takes time for, people, society, the doctors, all that have to get caught up on all this, because it's always been, government has always disallowed any research.
That's right. That's right. And, and that's why what Heidi's doing is so important, documenting this. People want proof. This is proof.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sent home to die. I mean, how many times have we heard that, Al? Even with people. Sent home to die, told, stage 2 cancer, stage 2 COPD, 3, you're done. We don't have anything else for you. And they start on oil or tinctures. And in a couple of years, they're still alive. And all of a sudden, they're getting healthy.
Yeah, it's amazing, eh?
Yeah.
And and then people start, they, some of them experience it, enormously benefit. And then as time goes on, they become more involved in things, and next thing you know, they start sharing their stories with others.
Yeah, well, that's it. The majority of us that are out here right now are patients first. And that's what people, you do what you do, I do what I do. None of us this isn't a paid gig for any of us. We're not making money off of this. This isn't my full-time job. I can't make a living off of doing what I do. That's for damn sure. It costs me money to do what I do. We're not here for the fame. We're not here for any of that. We're here because we're patients, and we know, and we want to make sure that other people get the information.
That's right. You got to spread it around. Spread it around. That's right. Now, there was something I was going to mention there, and of course, it's slipped my mind.
Gone now.
It's gone. Yeah, it'll come up when we go for a commercial.
More than likely.
More than likely.
So are you in front of Cannabis today?
I'm in the front window. Yes. There's a guy walking up to the door right now. Yeah, he's just about to come in the front door here.
Hello, man.
Oh, actually, he'll be able to hear you say that.
How's it going?
God, hey, we've got ourselves a man here who's jumped into the conversation, and he's going to fill in for Heidi tonight as our guest.
Yeah, I got a great guy.
Yes, we've talked to him a little bit in the past and some other programming. Oh, there goes the guy. But we always enjoy talking to Gooey, don't we, guys? Hi, Gooey. How are you?
Hey, man. Does this sound okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. Thanks for joining us.
It's crazy, but you bet. I'm happy to be here. So what are we talking about?
Wow.
Oh, well, we were just talking about a little bit of everything, actually. Our guest Heidi was unable to join us tonight because she's a bit upset tonight and unable to talk. So I was so pleased to be able to get a hold of you for you to fill in for her.
Southern California is really surreal. It's insanely surreal.
Yes.
But there's a lot of exciting things going on here. It's really great.
Yeah, good. Well, I'll tell you what, you can fill us in on them after we deal with the break.
Pay the bills, baby. Pay the bills.
We'll go for a break, and we'll come back and talking to you about what's new where Gooey is.
Most groovy.
Okay. All right. Let's see, tonight's commercial break. The music is by the Salads, and their song is called Weed and Wine. And then when we return, Kim and I will talk to our new guest, Gooey Rabinski, at GooeyRabinski.com. This is the Pace Radio Show, live at lifestyleradio.ca and .net.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet, www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
CTCP now operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Man, have you been to Cannabis yet? Cannabis, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers, everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Cannadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Cannadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Cannadays. Have your say without saying a word. Cannadays.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
I'm fine, feeling kinda groovy. I read because of a debate. I'm mad, I'm gonna watch a movie. A good movie, real good movie. Red wine goes nice with some weight. Makes me want to be
Hey, we're back and we're live at lifestyleradio.ca and .net. We're also live at Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, plus Shoutcast. Or you can find us at other audio locations such as Mixcloud, TuneIn Radio, and iTunes. And for you in the USA, you can also catch us on iHeartRadio down there, being that our guest tonight
iHeartRadio.
Yeah, iHeartRadio.
That's like huge.
Yeah.
That's freaking huge, guys.
We're on iHeartRadio in the
Wow.
USA. Yes. Gooey, you can find us down there.
I knew I knew high people in low places, but this just reaffirms all of that.
I love it.
So Gooey, so what's new and exciting with you? And what's going on there in California? You're saying before the break, it's sort of...
It's exciting. It's really, we're transitioning. January 1st, 2018 is the first day on which 40 million Americans in the state of California will enjoy legal adult use cannabis. So it's
nice.
It's interesting. And about 6 weeks ago, I moved to Los Angeles in order to help companies here develop the applications to get the business permits to be able to legally operate, pay their taxes, be, good part of society.
And you've been very successful at that?
Well, I'm the new guy in town, so it takes a while to build a client base, but it's very exciting here. There's a very positive vibe. There's a lot of good people trying to get into the industry, and refreshingly enough, a lot of them are from other industries. One of my clients is a retired doctor who has plenty of business experience. And quite honestly, I think he's a little bored, and he's attracted to the medical efficacy and just kind of the good vibes, if you will, of cannabis, because it's a way for legitimate business people to earn a living and not feel like, it's not like working for a petrochemical company or something that might go against your values, right?
You're helping people.
Yeah, right.
So you mentioned January 2018 is going to be legal in California.
Right.
Ours doesn't kick in until like July of 2018. It's 6-7 months after that. Now, how long ago was it that you guys voted on that? I'm sort of working at the time frame, how long it's going to take us here in Canada to come up with a system for legalization versus California. Maybe you're one state, we're a whole country, but people-wise, like you say, you got 40 million, we're around 40 million as a country.
Exactly. You guys are like 36. They're about 39 or 40 here in California. The statistics in California are mind-boggling. They have about the 6th largest GDP in the world. We're talking about up against Russia, China, England. So they're a huge economy. And as we look at global legalization, and it doesn't really exist, but if we consider a global cannabis industry, California coming online officially in January. Now, unofficially, they've been there forever, right? I've met 5th generation cannabis farmers in Humboldt County. So the people of California have been growing and selling weed for a long time, but they haven't been doing so within a legal, regulated, tax-paying system. And that's really the exciting part, because that's where we need to get the world, right? The people in this industry and this culture need to stop hiding. And we need to, if we want to get rid of the stigma, it's about more than just understanding cannabinoids and terpenes. It's about not operating underground. And as long as there are cannabis businesses operating underground, there's going to be a stigma. There will be, I'm not saying all of them, but there will be many people in that underground culture who are not desirable, quite honestly. And if I come off as sounding pompous in that, I apologize. But, criminal elements beget, and they're they're not all good people just because they embrace weed.
You can get undesirables in snowmobiling, off-roading, cannabis. They're in everything.
Yeah, just because you're a cannabis lover and consumer doesn't make you automatically a good person.
Exactly. And we're trying to be all positive here, and it's everything good, but and that's really why I've become a very large proponent of legalization, and literally why I moved to Southern California. Because this is kind of in the United States, the epicenter of it. There are other very respectable centers in Portland, Seattle, Denver, San Francisco, but there's just a lot. There's a lot happening here, and I've been here about 6 weeks, and I'm meeting some very interesting people and seeing some things that in 14 years in this industry I've never seen before in my life. So they really are quite leading edge here. I give them credit.
What sorts of things are you seeing?
Excuse me?
What sort of things are you seeing that you wouldn't expect to see?
Like last Saturday, there's an organization here in Los Angeles called Grass-Fed. And they invited me to attend what they call elevated VR, virtual reality. And it's a non-smoking, no alcohol event where you pay an entry fee and everything is covered. That's how it is at most of the events. The organization actually started out doing infused dinners, kind of $100 to $150, fairly high-end, very boutique, very craft cannabis infused dinners. And now they've gotten into virtual reality. I've been to a couple of those events, and I've seen things like this going on over the last decade and a half in basically 4 cities in the U.S. And I know it's going on in Denver, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Denver, but Toronto, Vancouver, San Francisco, Los Angeles. That's where you will see things within the cannabis community that are just nowhere else in the world, from what I've seen.
Yeah. The industry is blossoming so much. So many opportunities for craft business and entrepreneurs these days with the new business. Are you in California? Are you concerned at all with the new administration in the White House and their current stand?
All right. Jesus Christ.
You had to throw him out, didn't you?
I have to. My listeners want to know what's going on in California, what Californians are going to do about it.
All right. For the record, I'm not a Californian. I grew up in Ohio. I met my ex-wife in Virginia and was in Washington, D.C. for 8 years. I spent a few years in Texas, and now I'm in California. So I know a lot of people here who are native Californians, and they're on their own wavelength, and sometimes it's very beautiful. But that said, I digress. A ton of Bernie supporters were here on the West Coast. It seemed like 8 out of 10 of them, people up in Northern California, up in Humboldt County, were Bernie supporters. Very, very popular. From what I've seen, that was very kind of East Coast, West Coast, and what you call in Canada the prairie provinces in the middle. And I think I love that cadence. So we'll say that for the United States too. The prairie provinces largely did not go Bernie or went conservative or non-progressive. So the people in California are either freaking out about what's going on right now, or they're just like, I hope he doesn't screw up business.
Right.
They don't really give a shit from a values perspective.
Crossing the fingers that they can ride out the next 4 years and everything will be good to start fresh again.
You know, a lot of people are rightfully so freaking out. Now, I'm not recommending this to the impressionable youth in the audience, but I'm just kind of ignoring it. Like, I'm like, you know, every minute I spend learning about the bullshit in DC is a minute I could spend learning about the cannabis efficacy of, you know, various terpenes for cancer or something. I just feel I have better things to put my time into.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, I can certainly understand that. I know we're up here in Canada, we're watching this with bated breath. You know, with us having legalization on a national level coming within the next year, it kind of seems odd to see our neighbors in the U.S. going the opposite direction on a national level.
Sessions. Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm kind, you know, sometimes they refer to Los Angeles as La La Land, and I'm almost kind of happy I'm in La La Land because it's easy to forget about Washington, D.C. I live the daily lifestyle luxury of I can literally pretend it's not there because I can filter my social media to the point where I just won't see it, right? We all have that power, whether we know it or not. And in West Hollywood, I'm more likely to see a billboard for a dispensary or an LGBT flag than anything pro what's going on in D.C. right now. So yeah, it's kind of like I live in a fantasy land here.
Different, yeah.
Welcome to LA.
Separated, but not. So what will legalization look like in California?
It's complicated as hell. I mean, I'll just be perfectly honest. I just spent the last 2.5 hours at my neighborhood pub here getting some late lunch, looking over California regulations and comparing them. One of my clients is wanting to get into the industry, and so we're doing a lot of strategic work. But California right now has 4 layers of laws. I mean, I sit down in front of some of the best attorneys in Los Angeles, guys who have been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years. They're walking encyclopedias. And I'm like, okay, give me your elevator pitch. Tell me in 5 minutes what the hell's going on in California. And it takes like 3 hours. It's extremely complicated what's going on right now. In a nutshell, January 1st, 2018, 40 million Californians get to enjoy adult use, quote unquote, recreational cannabis possession and consumption. Despite that, that legal language still allows individual municipalities and counties to ban cannabis businesses. So, while they can't go counter to state law and say that you can't possess or consume on the part of an individual citizen, they certainly, unfortunately, the way the law was written, they can go ahead and they can ban any semblance of a cannabis business. So it'd be really sad if there's sick people who are trying to get some medicine and they've got to drive 45 minutes for an eighth. That's not really what we're trying to achieve here, right?
Yeah, we have similar issues in Canada right now in BC. There, BC is considered the Canadian epicenter, I guess, for the cannabis movement and leniency.
BC bud, some of the best stuff I've ever smoked.
Yeah, everybody knows, you go to BC and you're not going to get in trouble. But that's not always the case. It depends on where you are in BC. There are certain communities in BC that are like, they've got an all-out ban. No, you're not operating a business here. No, we're not lenient, and get the hell out of Dodge. That's it.
Right.
So it's not the entire province. So it seems like there's going to be a similar situation happening in California.
I kind of got into the scene in Canada, actually, not in the U.S. It was pretty much Toronto, Vancouver, and California, either Los Angeles or San Francisco. And really, I mean, okay, look at Colorado was the first state in the U.S. to legalize adult use cannabis, right? Not medical, adult use.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at a heat map of that, that came from Denver, not the state of Colorado. Okay, that came from the city, the municipality. That did not come from the state. And most of the people outside of the city are conservative, anti-progressive, often fundamentalist religious folks, and they don't want nothing to do with those dirty hippies and those stoners. So really, and I think you see it in all throughout North America. It's Vancouver that's progressive. It's Toronto that's progressive. It's Los Angeles or San Francisco or Denver. But really, the United States as a whole, I mean, well, look what the hell's going on in D.C. right now, regardless of popular vote and electoral college and all that. I mean, there's obviously some people in the U.S. who, could use a little enlightenment and education and, comprehension of the issues here. But regardless of whether it's Canada or the U.S., we see that concentrated within the metro areas where, the culture and the art and the progressive minds tend to gather.
Absolutely. I can attest to that as well. I'm a Toronto native. I grew up, born and raised in Toronto, but I am now a northern girl. I've been up north and in northern Ontario now for over 16 years.
She has an igloo.
And it's, it's a different world up here. It's not progressive. There aren't any vapor labs.
Right.
There aren't any dispensaries. People still shun you up here for different situations,
Right.
I mean, we don't have that, what we have in Toronto. So as soon as you leave the epicenters, as you say, everything changes in rural anywhere.
Yeah. I'm in a small town. And you can see the urban-rural divide. Now, Gooey, back to how California and legalization is going to look. Here in Canada, there's a lot of talk about age. Kim and I discussed in the news segment before you joined us about taxation. Are they talking anything along that line down there?
Well, yeah. I mean, Americans love to talk about taxation and just kind of an anti-tax mode they like to get into. I believe in taxes. Ben Franklin's one of my favorite founding fathers, and he was not an anti-tax guy. But is there a rationale to the taxes? Are they fair between different industry segments? The state of Washington, for example, 37% tax, and that's at the state level. Yeah, so you buy $100 worth of cannabis at your local dispensary, you got to slap down 137. And if you're in, I forget which jurisdiction it is, which city, but they can lay a city tax on top of that. So if you're in the wrong part of Washington, you'd pay $144 for that $100 worth of cannabis.
No.
So
How
yeah,
does
so
that eliminate the black market?
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just, but to be rational and fair, we need to compare that with other industries. What are pharmaceuticals paying? What is the alcohol industry paying? What are herbal supplements paying? All these existing regulated industries. So this is extremely controversial, and California, despite the fact that it goes legal on January 1st, their regulations are draft currently. So it's making it very difficult for business people to invest money and, form business plans when they don't even know what the final regulations are going to be.
Sounds like our province. It sounds like our provinces that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, we've
not enough time. Not enough time. It's too big. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, is your municipalities, are they going after the angle at all? Cities and stuff saying, well, we need more money to police this new regime?
I mean, sometimes they certainly do. And here, just in Southern California, there's so many different jurisdictions that's what makes it really, really confusing around here. And it's somewhat true in San Francisco, and I'm sure in Vancouver too. It's a very confusing environment right now where, it's just, it's very confusing.
Yeah, right now, I ask because right now that's what we're seeing. A lot of provinces and cities are going to the feds saying, well, you need to increase our police budgets so that our police have the money to go around and check that, make sure that everybody's plant height is right and they're all following the new rules. And that's why the reason I asked you that, because to me, I mean, the money that they're saving on policing regular people and, you know, raids and everything else for people that are consuming a drug that's no longer illegal. I mean, the money they save on that can just be transferred over to the new regime for policing the legality of it. I don't see why they would need an increase.
Well, California's law that goes into effect on January 1st does allocate funds for police and even drug prevention. Now, quote unquote drug prevention, that can be the DARE program that the kids get in school, right? So and that's not something that most people in this culture would agree with. So yeah, I mean, we have that built into some of our systems here, and it certainly is an issue. You know, if a certain faction of society is going to view cannabis as a bad thing, then they're going to feel like they have to police against it. Whereas people like you and I tend to think of it as medicine or a wellness therapy. And we're like, how does that involve the police? You know, it just kind of becomes a confusing misappropriation of resources, whether they're tax dollars or not, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't see the need for funds for policing something that's legal.
There you go, and that's the transition period that we're in. But you know, the status quo and the conservatives and the folks who are stakeholders in prohibition and the economy of prohibition, whether it's prisons or pharmaceuticals or whatever it is, they don't give up easily. You know, they're freaking Luddites, and they're like, hey, they want to keep the money tap turned on, they want to keep the power tap turned on. So this is not an overnight process. I think lay people see, oh, look, it went legal in wherever. It went legal in Canada. It went legal in California. And I just think, bam, it's a black or white issue. And suddenly there's dispensaries showing up on every corner. And, you know, it's a completely stigma-free society. And that's certainly not the case. There's still a lot of people who think this is poison, that what you and I do on a daily basis is somehow poison. If that was the case, we'd be dead by now because we've been doing it since we were teenagers. But you know, it's difficult to educate those people. But you know, if there was a message I could leave for listeners, is that we should don't make this a culture war, even though it kind of inherently is. Educate those people. Don't hate on them. It's easy to do. I understand the frustration, but educate them and do so in kind of a benign velvet glove manner that doesn't intimidate them. You know, don't come into the dialogue with a I'm right and you're wrong, because they'll turn you off and they will not listen.
Yeah, absolutely. People get their back up with confrontation. You know, I mean, it's better for youth. Education, use the power of your words and your education. Get the message out.
Yeah, and it's not easy. You know, a single article, a single video, a single documentary, a single weekend music festival, whatever it is, you know, we win hearts and minds very slowly, just a few at a time. It's almost like trying to grow your Twitter account. You know, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it took us, 90 years or so now to get us this far. It's going to take us several to get us out, I guess, eh?
Exactly. I think that's a great way of looking at it. You know, we've had 90 years come August in the U.S. of prohibitionist rhetoric, and, well, it goes well beyond that. I mean, there was prohibitionist rhetoric after the turn of the century. The first anti-cannabis law in the U.S. was actually a municipal law in El Paso, Texas, in 1914, I believe it was. And it's only been mounting since then, right? And then in 1970, we got the DEA under the Nixon administration. So, yeah, you know, we're definitely we're like on the precipice of being post-prohibition. But until we get rid of Schedule I at the federal level here in the U.S., I think it can easily be argued that we're still solidly prohibition. We've just got some state experimentation going on here.
How can you have half the states in your country having legal medical cannabis, and you have a federal government that says there's no medical benefit to it?
Welcome, United States, homeboy. How you Yeehaw, mofos. Yeah, it's ironic. It's there's some of our best legal scholars are scratching their heads every day. It's definitely kind of a transitionary period, and money is power, and cannabis businesses are trying to serve a market, and if they make money and they grow, they gain power, and that power necessarily comes from another industry that loses market share, and they're very entrenched and they're very wealthy, and they're not going to give up easily.
So in a legal market down there, I guess in Colorado, people can buy a permit to grow so many plants to allow them to supply storefront locations. Is California looking along the same line, or is it going to be like here in Canada where you got large corporations?
California has a 5-year moratorium on large corporations coming into the game. So January 1, 2023, and all the other big corporations that common sense and rumor say are going to enter the market, they will be permitted to under California law at that time. The intent is to give small businesses and mid-sized businesses, the non-corporate and more independent players, an opportunity to gain some market share.
Wow!
Oh, I like that. Why don't we have that?
They're going to give craft cannabis a 5-year head start. Holy smokes!
See, now we went the other way. And that really sucks. Canada's looking at a model where it's only our LP system, our legal producers that supply medical patients right now, are basically going to be our place of distribution. And then it's up to provinces how they distribute from there. But they want a model where all our main product is coming from our LP system. No room for mom and pop. No room for craft.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad because craft is good for consumers. Forget the suppliers for a second. And I think the little guys obviously add a lot to the market and deserve to exist. But if you forget the supply side for a second, the consumers, we have craft products, wine, beer, automobiles. There's a big difference between an entry-level Toyota and an S550 Mercedes, which I would consider a craft car, if you will. I think it's really important to try to preserve that market segment because it serves so many people. I personally enjoy craft products, and I'm willing to pay a little more for them to guarantee purity and quality. And who doesn't like nice packaging and a reliable brand, right?
Right. Exactly. I'm in the same boat. I buy a lot of craft products. I buy a limited supply from my LP. Most of my stuff comes from the craft market. It's simply a better product.
Yeah. And, if you're putting it into your body, especially on a daily basis, what's in paying 25 to 50% more to ensure that quality? We do it in all other product segments on a daily basis. Cannabis should be no different.
Absolutely. Especially when you're using it as a medicine, but even on the recreational side, I like to use the term non-medicinal because I think there's no such thing as rec. If you're using it, you're getting the medicinal benefits and helping you. It doesn't matter to me why. But regardless, if you're using a product every day, you're putting it into your body. Yeah, you want to make sure that you're getting the best. We're not going out and spending the money on a GMO product when the organic one is sitting next to it. It's better for you. You're going for the organic if you know what's good for you.
Yeah.
So, and it's certainly nice to see California with this moratorium on the big corporations, making an effort to sustain the smaller businesses. But there is still a large barrier to entry of cost, as in Southern California, for example. There are certain jurisdictions that are charging $1,000 to apply for a permit for, say, a cultivation or a manufacturing facility. There's a lot of mom and pops who afford $500,000 to get started because 10% of that budget is going to be going for a permit fee.
Yeah. Big permit fees depending on where you live, right? I mean, the cities have control of that, right?
Very much so. Like Linwood, a community outside here in the LA cultivate or other segment permits would be between $5,000 and $10,000. $7,000, $7,200. That's just the way Linwood does it. So you have this big disparity. Some are charging as little as maybe $2,000 or $3,000. So it makes it kind of a schizophrenic business environment because I have clients come to me all the time saying, okay, we want to do XYZ cannabis business. And my first question is, where do you want to put it? And if they say, we're not sure, it's like, okay, well, that's a project in and of itself, just determining the jurisdiction. Because obviously, you can't locate your cannabis business in a jurisdiction that says, nope, we don't allow that here. Go ahead.
Will people move to those places? Like businesses move to those places so they could operate? And then we got to go for a break here.
For 2018, the ones who are illegal, a lot of people are predicting there's going to be a big crackdown on them. So I personally would not want to be part of an illegally operating cannabis business come 2018 in the state of California.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Okay, off to break time. Get to hear some more of the music by the Salads and the song Weed and Wine. And then when we get back, we'll continue our conversation with Gooey Rabinski. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca and .net.
Here at Lifestyle Radio. You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Man, have you been to Cannabis yet? Cannabis, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. Cannadays. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? Cannadays can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. Cannadays. Have your say without saying a word. Cannadays.ca.
Hi, this is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Hey, welcome back. And we are the Pace Radio Show, and we are being broadcasted live here at lifestyleradio.ca, as well as in the front window here at Canada's in downtown Campbellford. Tonight we featured the music of the Ontario-based band The Salads and the song Weed and Wine. These guys traveled the Toronto bar scene for many years, and I believe they still do. So if you ever get a chance, I suggest that you check them out. Tonight on the program, we are joined by our guest, Gooey Rabinski, and my joint host, Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper of No Sir is here as well.
Hi, everybody.
Well, Gooey, we've been talking a lot about legalization in California and stuff. We probably got about another 10 minutes with you. And we should find out about you. Let our listeners know a little bit about yourself.
I have a blog at GooeyRabinski.com. I write for a lot of different media outlets, but I've kind of hit on some common themes recently, like terpenes and a lot of medical efficacy topics. So I'm going to try to add some blog posts that kind of almost in bullet list fashion have links out to those external articles, because they're with herb.co and Wostork, hightimes.com. They're all over the place. And I realize that's a little confusing for people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And talking about terpenes, I see you got Terpene Tuesdays.
Terpene Tuesday. It's an increasingly popular hashtag on Twitter. Twitter's one of probably my best social media. I guess as a writer, I embrace it because it's links out to articles, typically sometimes photo collections, but typically articles, typically related to either the business of cannabis or the medicine of cannabis. So that's really the two areas in which I'm most interested, and I think really affect society the most.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've written for High Times, Skunk, Cannabis Culture, Whaxy, Green Flower Media, Heads, Emerald Magazine, Weed World, Mary Jane, Cannabis Health Journal, Herb Company. The list goes on. You also have your own book, which is fantastic, Understanding Medical Marijuana. I mean, it's a great book unto itself, along with your blog, helping people, maneuver through the legal cannabis industry across the United States. You're just all over the place, aren't you?
Well, it's an exciting time in the cannabis industry, and in some respects, there is no industry yet. We're forming that industry, and that's what's so exciting. Most people only once or twice in their lives see this kind of an economic or cultural phenomenon. I've been blessed to see it twice. I saw it with the .com, and I'm a technical writer by trade, so I jumped on the .com bandwagon, and I fed my family that way for a long time. I'm blessed to see this happen a second time with the cannabis industry. And I guess it's really exciting for a lot of us because we feel like we're not just earning a living, but we're also improving the world. We'd like to see less opioids. I like a good craft beer, but, a little less alcohol, a little more cannabis, a little more hemp, and we know it's good for the economy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So many things can be replaced with the hemp plant.
Exactly. And everybody can prosper and make oodles of money, I mean, if you're a greedy capitalist, don't be afraid of cannabis and hemp. It can be a way in our environment while people making a ton of money. It's kind of funny how the entrenched forces just refuse to embrace some of the new technologies like electric cars or solar, or in this case, using cannabis medicine instead of synthetic pharmaceuticals and other treatments.
Yep, absolutely. Healthier the better.
Now, you've written all types of subjects, different subject matters, and that. Tonight we were going to have Heidi on with her dog. Have you ever touched on any of your articles about animals and cannabis?
Yeah, a bit. It's interesting because a lot of cannabis consumers aren't aware of the fact that, we have the endocannabinoid system, and it is a part of the human body with specific receptor sites for particular types of molecules like THC, and we talk about terpenes and cannabinoids like CBD. Okay, they have a certain binding affinity with the CB1 and the CB2 receptors. So this is very well documented, It's not just some crazy hippies saying, there's this thing called the endocannabinoid system. Well, it turns out that all mammals have an endocannabinoid system. So your dog, your cat, cute little koala bear, if it's a mammal, it has an endocannabinoid system and therefore could, at least in theory, gain efficacy from cannabinoids and terpenes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because here in Canada, there was recently an article written where veterinarians are coming out against the use of cannabis.
Oh my God. Pets. They're everywhere. Oh, that's crazy.
They prescribe pharmaceutical drugs to animals. So.
Oh, hell yeah. It's big business. I'm sure in the U.S. that's a multi-billion-dollar business. There's especially here in Los Angeles, lots of pampered pups, beautiful, beautiful creatures, treated better than children in Alabama. Just amazing.
Yeah.
These people will spend a considerable portion of their disposable income on pampering their pet. CBD products and other cannabis-derived products. I think that's going to be a huge market. 5 to 8 years, legal states, and none of this is going to happen quite as quickly as a lot of people are predicting. A lot of my clients are nervous that they're late to the game, and I reassure them that typically they're game. That really things are. Again, we barely have an industry. We don't even have regulations. Final and the largest market in the world, California, for cannabis. So how do we have an industry? Isn't an industry defined by industry standards and operating protocol and so to get into this industry, there's still a lot of time, but they have to do their homework and they have to be very smart about how they invest their time and money.
Well, that's it. It's been an underground industry for a very, very long time, but bringing it above board is a whole new ballgame.
Exactly. And that's really been illustrated to me so very clearly, having spent the last 10 months in county in Northern California. It's a production center, obviously. And Los Angeles, the transition from the black market is not going to be easy. And there are fifth generation cultivators in Humboldt County and Mendocino County. Some of those people are able to make the transition for whatever reason to legality and paying their taxes and being audited and being inspected and surviving as a business. But sadly, a lot are just not going to make it because they have kind of a belligerent attitude toward the system, or they just really don't have the business acumen to go over to a legitimate, very documented system.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So many changes on the horizon. I guess exciting time to be alive for all of us, right?
It is. It really is. But it's not without its pitfalls. And the streets are not paved with gold in the green rush cannabis economy. It still takes basic business skills and investment capital. And for the most part, it's the rules. It's just that the rules are, no pun intended, but they're half baked. They're, as illustrated by California, the regulations are not even final yet.
Yeah.
We've got to, the vision that a lot of us in the industry have is probably 5 or 10 years out. And that's going to be highly dependent upon where you are in the United States, as is so clearly the situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I see that, here with the Canadian plan, that there's some stuff that's going to be, it's going to be really nothing what we expected. It's going to be, lower. We're, plant wise, we're looking at 4 plants to grow, but which is equal to some of the states. But with a 100 centimeter law on them, being that you can't grow a plant. Yeah, you can't grow a plant no more than 3 feet tall.
It's, if you think about it, what if we had similar regulations for tomatoes or pine trees? Cannabis is a vegetable, not just an herb. It starts to illustrate how it all gets somewhat ridiculous in, capping the height of a plant. But yeah, they're doing this all over the place.
They're doing it, exactly.
It's a work in progress.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, Gooey. I know that you've got to get going. You've joined us here at very short notice, and we really appreciate you joining us and talking to our listeners. Let us know what's going on around other places. So I was asking a lot of questions about the California and stuff. So have you got a website? Obviously, you got a website where people can find you.
Yeah, GooeyRabinski.com, and links out to all my social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Basically, if you just Google Gooey Rabinski, all that good stuff will pop up. I try to keep the names of my social media as similar as possible.
Right on. And we can find your book on Amazon. Understanding Medical Marijuana is also available on Amazon, right?
Yes, it is. As an ebook, I kind of try to practice what's so available in print. But if you got yourself a slick iPad or tablet, or hey, we've all read books on iPhones, right? Is that just me? I don't know.
No.
But it's kind of. I was curious about the history of cannabis prohibition and its use as medicine, and that was basically a research project. And I was just so amazed by what I found. I said, well, I need to share this with the world, and that's really how the book came about.
Didn't you share that for free online for a while? Wasn't there?
I did for a couple months, yeah. But I live in LA now, and I want to get a Porsche, so I have to start charging. I'm sorry.
I think I heard a couple. I think I heard a couple of those Porsches in the background there earlier.
They're typically Ferraris and Lamborghinis. It's just quite mind blowing.
Wow!
Wow! Imagine.
And if you want to
me up here in northern Ontario with nothing but pickup trucks.
I know what you mean. I was in Humboldt County, right? I'll just be the sales schlock and say, if you want to see pictures of those Lamborghinis and Ferraris, follow my Instagram, and there's tons of juicy shots.
Yes, you love taking pictures.
Right on. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much, Gooey.
You bet. Hey, good luck. Take care now.
Yeah,
Thank you, baby.
Super.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. It's always great to talk to Gooey. I talked to him back in March.
Yeah, awesome guy, great book, great writer all the way around. You can find his stuff and the numerous publications that I mentioned, plus and then some. The list was just far too long to read off.
Yes, there was. He's written like Treating Yourself. He's written for all kinds of different publications, and when he was in Ohio, he would come up to Toronto and. I remember he come up, Toronto Hemp Company hadn't opened up, and he came up and talked to Dom and did a tour of the new store and the Kindred Cafe and everything.
Yep. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with him. I think it was one of the live shows we did. He joined us for the legalization, was it? When he popped in and I spoke to him? I can't remember. We've done too many shows, Al.
Yeah, I know. He did. He joined us for the Cannabis opening.
That's what it was. Cannabis opening. Yeah, I joined you on the air for that for a while and spoke to Gooey. That's what it was. Yeah. Too many live shows, too many shows under the belt. I mean, I've enjoyed doing this. It's been so fun over the last 2 years, almost 2 years. It's been great having guests like Leon.
It is. It's always great to have them on. And talking about guests, Friday night 420 radio show, Richard Pryor Jr.
I know. He's actually a friend of mine on social media. He invited me to his show. I was glad to see that Al's having him on the 420 show. I'll be definitely tuning in.
Yeah, that'll be this Friday night, 7 o'clock.
I'll be definitely tuning in. Awesome show. Richard Pryor Jr., he's going to be performing in Toronto at the end of the month. Great entertainer, just like his dad. Hell of a good guy, too.
Yes, yeah. It'd be interesting. That's for sure. So, Kim, if you got a shout out or anything you'd like to...
Tonight, I'm passing on my shout out tonight. I'm completely unprepared. Truthfully speaking, I had a rough day. Pain-wise, I'm not in great shape today, but show must go on. We got through it. It's all good. But I'm completely unprepared with my shout out.
Let's do a joint shout out to Dozer.
Okay, there we go. Heidi Chartrand and Dozer.
That's right. Happy and speedy recovery.
There we go. Joint shout out from the show to Dozer. Get well soon. Al Rapp is also in on the condolences there, and get well wishes for Dozer. We're in your corner, Dozer, and we're all pulling for you.
That's right. Exactly. Okay. I will be back next week with Alicia Yashishin and her guests, as we always promote those who are fighting to end cannabis prohibition. You can find Pace on Twitter at Pace Radio. We're also on Facebook as The Pace Radio Show. And we're on Instagram as The Pace Radio Show. And you can find us at pace-online.ca, the only spot where you can write and get some free educational material, and we will send it out to you. And let's see, we have thank yous tonight to our sponsors, BMA Hydroponics, who are found at bmahydroponics.com. CC Nexus, who are Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesalers, found at ccnexus.global. The man behind the baggie, we always thank Al. We never forget our man. And thank you to our guests, Gooey Rabinski, filling in there for the last minute to help out with Heidi and Dozer. It's like say Kim, it's always great to talk to him. He's always got so much to say.
Yeah, great guy.
Yes, yeah. And you can find his stuff at GooeyRabinski.com. Somebody asked him if he thought that if he was mad at his parents for calling him Gooey.
I'll ask him next time I talk to him for you.
And as always, Kim, thank you to you and all the work that you do. I was wearing a No Sir shirt there the other day, letting everybody know about it.
Oh, thank you.
And as always, a big thank you to our listeners. Thank you for tuning in the program. And good night.
Good night.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Life